Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And the fine folks over at ARMYTEK asked me if I wanted to take one of their products for a spin, and I looked through their catalog of offerings and thought, what would be a good one that's a little bit different than other traditional lights? And I decided on this. This is the ARMYTEK Wizard C1 Pro. And the C1 Pro actually has multiple uses. This is it right here. It's a 90-degree flashlight. In other words, the lens sticks out the side instead of out of the top. It has 1,000 lumens on its maximum. It's got 2 firefly modes. I'll show you the runtime. It's pretty crazy. You can use it as a headlamp, as a belt lamp. It's got a magnet, so it sticks to things, so you could use it easily, you know, like they're showing stuck to a car here. For cycling, there's an adapter to fit on handlebars, and then as a headlamp, it's quite good, and I'm going to show you why. So first of all, this is it as it sits. It does come with a stainless steel pocket clip that you can use, and a headband with this clip, and this is what's kind of neat about it. There's several things. This is one of them. Right there, I have just made a headlamp. That fast, I have just not made a headlamp. Now, you might look and say, well, that could easily fly out of there or spin or something. It could, but if it's attached to your head and that happens, you probably have a concussion, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It spins inside this 180 degree or 360 degrees. Obviously, 180 of it is the most useful. There is some resistance. In an earlier version of this, people had said when they were trying to run with it, sometimes the light would move. It's so stiff now that you'd knock your teeth out probably before you'd spin this thing if you were running. But what I like is how fast and easy it's in and out of here, because a lot of times when I'm using a small light, I'll be pulling it out off my head. This was one of my favorites, this little Phoenix. Pull it off my head and actually use it in other ways, like, you know, lay it down in a tent or something, or on something, and use it more as an ambient light or non-head related directional light. And of course, if you're wearing a headlamp and you're talking to people, you might be, you know, spraying them in the face with photons. So I like the idea of popping it out of here. The 90 degree is interesting. It's a little bit different than kind of the traditional straight up ones, and because of the magnet, then this gives you a lot of options as far as angling this or using an object, even something like these pliers, as a stand if you want, which is kind of a benefit. It uses that magnet also for charging. The charging looks like this. This is I write the right on stuff, so I know. This is for the ARMYTEK. Snaps right on there. You might think, well, oh, I've already got an O-light, so would that work? Well, this is the O-light one, and it does not, because this is recessed in there. So this doesn't actually make contact. And you might think, well, what if I use the ARMYTEK on an O-light? So here's an O-light, little old Balder red laser one, and this does snap to it, but you can see it does not make contact. So they are a different system, just something to be aware of. So let's take a look at the operation. This has a couple of different full-on modes, so you can actually unscrew this a quarter turn, hold the button down, screw it back in to change into modes that are more outdoor-oriented or tactical-oriented. At any point, I can hit kind of the turbo with the double click. This one here, if I hold it in and it's kicked on to a firefly mode, if I hold it in and then hold it and continue, then I can cycle through. This is in kind of more the outdoor mode. It's got lower settings. If I back that off, I turn it off, back this off, hold this button in, now rotate it back. Now I've got brighter settings, so I can go all the way up. This also will have a strobe if I triple click it or go to the top of the cycle, and I'm not going to do that to you. Something interesting here though, look at this. I was playing around, I had taken my different lights apart, looking at them. Very strong, huge spring in there. First of all, you might wonder, can it run on a standard CR123? You can get one in there, and you do get a little bit of light out of it. But you lose a lot of the features, so you can see it is on. Not super bright, and you know, it's, I guess, an emergency, you could. But I had this off on my through night. This is the TH30 V2. I had both the tail caps out, and I had the smaller light, so I grabbed the smaller tail cap. And this one actually screwed on just fine. But you notice there's double O-rings here. This doesn't even get close to it. The way the tail cap works on this ARMYTEK light, if you look at this, there's a lot of real estate above the threads. You know, that's a significant amount if you look at the design of these two tail caps. So what does this do? Well, it engages double O-rings right here, and you can really feel as it snugs up. There's a lot of twisting that's going on. What does that give you? It gives you 10 meters or 30 feet of water resistance. You know, most things might be a meter or two, and even sometimes less, or sometimes for not very many minutes. Here you got a full-on 10 meters that you could be underwater, 30 feet underwater, which is pretty incredible. Also, go over some of the batteries. This uses a rechargeable 18350, 3.7 volt, but look at that, 900 milliamps in such a little package. So you really get some long run time. And in fact, if we look at that, 60 days in Firefly 1, if we can read that, 8 days, Firefly 2, Firefly 3, there is 1, 2.5 days. We're approaching something kind of interesting with some of these lights, and I'll get into it with another one soon, where we may not yet have actually there might be one, but we may not yet have a flashlight that'll run a full year on its lowest setting, but we're starting to get close enough to see that may be possible. Anyway, if you're wondering about the different battery sizes, this one here is an 18350. What does that mean? It means it's 18 millimeters wide. You can see that just a little below that too there, and right there, the 350 or 35 millimeter, 35.0 millimeter is where that's coming from. If I look at a larger battery, here's a standard 18650, you get the same 18 millimeter diameter. But if we come out here, 650 would be 65. 65 is actually that mark there, so it seems a touch longer. And then if we go down to, this is a 16340, so obviously the length is 340. You can see that. You know, there's the 3. So 340 and 16 is the diameter. So you can measure a battery and figure it out. But anyway, as far as a headlamp, it's nice and light. I mean, it's a lot closer to this guy here. And throw the battery in. It's got a unique kind of a textured black anodization. It's not slick, but it's not rough. So it actually has a kind of a grippy surface, but a very smooth grippy surface, if such a thing exists. Obviously, you can flick it in here either direction, so you know you've got more options. And what I really like about these kinds of headlamps is how easily you can move them up and down and align them exactly where you want them, versus these, which, like this black diamond here, this rechargeable one. Great light, does a lot of things, but there's the full extent of it. That's it. And, you know, how long is that going to last? And, you know, we might have to crack it open to get at the batteries. These are a lot simpler, a lot easier to deal with. And if I want to, you know, use the clip and just use it as a belt light, pocket light, EDC light, it just offers some different options from traditional flashlight designs. Good cooling vents there. It can run hot on high speed. And you can, of course, throttle it back or let it throttle itself back if it needs to. Some of these might run a little bit hot for a little too long. This does have great thermal protection. They make a strong advertisement for that, so I guess I'd trust it as to not overheat. It uses a total internal reflectance reflector with, as you can see, kind of a diffusion coating on that. That again is more for area lighting than for spot lighting or real throw, and that's because of the kind of light it's designed for. If you're wearing a headlamp, you're really working kind of in the hand space or the foot space, you know, how far out you want to walk or run. So they're not designed to see, 50 feet away or 100 yards away. Of course, on turbo, it does light up a pretty significant area, but it's not really that kind of a light. That's more the standard in your hand flashlight. So for a headlamp, it's a good solid performer. ARMYTEK's been around forever. They offer a crazy 10-year warranty here. And if you notice here, components by the US and Japan, developed in Europe, assembled in own factory in China. So you can see they are putting some effort into acknowledging some of the things that we might concern ourselves with. Comes with this headband here and an extra set of O-rings and the charger. It doesn't come with a block to plug it in, but it does come with obviously that. Anyway, thought I might bring this to your attention. I like the idea of the in and out, and you can get other options to slap this into, such as the bike handlebar one, or I could see getting a couple of these and mounting them. The way this comes off, it's pretty simple, so I could just pop this free. Let me pop one end free there, and one end free here. So I can take that off, and I have tried mounting it on like the front backpack strap on one of the chest straps, which then would allow me to snap that in and have a flashlight there. What I discovered is it was a little bit harder to aim, but I'm going to keep playing with it because this is a standard 1-inch slider here. So about anything that's 1 inch, I could easily throw it on. A lot of the other flashlights, like this Through Night, which I really like, and this small Phoenix, do take a little bit more effort to kind of pry these things out. So so just strip the O-ring off of it doing that because I didn't have the tail cap on. But anyway, you're just less likely to actually use it. And so it's important to be able to utilize the tool in multiple ways without that resistance, like, it's going to take me a bit to, pop it in and out, whereas this is pretty easy. Anyway, that is the ARMYTEK Wizard C1 Pro. And with that, Doc out.